Good morning, good morning. Happy Friday to you. And welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33, WHPR, Comcast 90 in Detroit, and Comcast 91 in Oakland County and Livingston County, all over the world, courtesy of the World Wide Web. And it's a little nippy out there, little bit nippy. I'm almost getting allergic to this time of year. I don't know what's going to be happening, but I have a great show for you today. I have a little politics and then a lot of Highland Park. You know, I'm into that. And then follow us right afterwards for Table Talk. We're going to have a little different format today, but we'll talk about it. And I'd like to introduce to you my first guest. It's a pleasure for me to have her in the studio, Councilwoman Sylvia Jordan. Good morning.
Good morning, Brenda. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming. Let me just shake your hand. She is a city council person for the city of Southfield. I'm sorry. I'm so Highland Park ingrained. But I'm glad you're here. You
Thank you.
found your way and everything, and
Despite
you
the cold.
despite, yeah, I had to break down and turn the heat back on yesterday. I hated that. But you're running for office.
That's right, running for mayor in the city of Southfield.
Gee, like I told you, I would never have the nerve to run for anything.
Really, I've been on the city council for 16 years, and I got a little seed planted when I was in the seventh grade.
Really, what happened?
So my seventh grade civics teacher wanted us to write a report on a famous black person. Black back then, and all of my friends were
Well,
writing.
it's still
on,
black.
It's still black.
In
That's
my
right.
world.
African American. You got to be
I'm
politically correct.
No, I don't have to be. I'm
Okay.
black.
Me too. And so we had to write a paper, and many of my friends picked Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Langston Hughes, and I wanted somebody different. And so I chose Richard Austin, who was the
Wow,
first
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, but he was the first black man that ran for mayor in the city of Detroit.
Okay.
And they allowed for me to spend a day campaigning with him, and it changed my life.
Well, that was interesting. Well, you're talking about seventh grade. Let's go back to your background. Tell me about you. Where'd you grow up? And
Okay, born and raised in Detroit. In my younger years, I was in the Jeffries Projects. Four brothers and four sisters, big family, mom and dad. But my father had a vision, and he said, I want all of my kids to go to college, and we're going to move out of these projects.
well, were the projects a little different back then than they became, or what?
Absolutely. It was community, it was family, it was your neighbor looking out for you and giving you a whooping if you disobeyed.
No, it actually was a village.
It was.
Because Miss Brown across the street told on me that I was outside without a shirt. But I was just in second grade. I had on my shorts, but I didn't have. I was flat. But anyway,
Right,
it was
right.
a village,
It was a
wasn't
village.
it?
It was a village. And so I was raised there. Then we moved to the west side of town. Ended up going to Cass Technical High School. Graduated from there. Went to Michigan State. Graduated from there, and did some graduate studies at Oakland University. And
Michigan State. Do you follow the football?
absolutely, it's a Go Green Day this today and tomorrow.
Well, yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. But Michigan State is playing Michigan
That's
tomorrow.
right. Tomorrow.
So I guess you're a Michigan State
Yes,
fan.
I am.
I don't have anybody in the game, but my producer, she went to Michigan, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay, that's all
Who
right.
knows? Who knows? Well, and then, so you lived in Detroit. What was your profession, though?
So my profession, shortly after graduating from college, I worked with the Social Security Administration. I did processing of claims for retirees. And then I went on to work for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, where I was an investigator, and we investigated employment discrimination.
Complaints.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. Love that job, because it was just an opportunity to get to those folks that had been discriminated against. There were some times it wasn't discrimination. It was because folks got to the job late that they were terminated as opposed to their race. But I really enjoyed that job. And then we decided, my husband and I, when our children came, that I would come at home and be a stay-at-home mom. I did that for just a short while because, I'm the person that wants to get her hands into everything. And I developed some businesses while I was at home.
Oh, really? Like
And
what?
So I developed when my son was 2 and my daughter was just a couple months old, I developed a dinner smock. and it was an oversized bib for children.
That they could put over their head.
Yes, for children over the age of 2.
Uh-huh.
And so
I know some grown folks who need a dinner smock.
and it was eventually sold. I ended up selling it to a company in Ann Arbor, and they worked with disabled adults. And so I made some money from there and just did some other things with my hands. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, as well as being involved in politics. And so my children grew up, and I decided to get into the race of the politics because I knew that I wanted to get involved.
Now you also have a church, right?
That's right. My husband is a pastor of a church in Southfield, Family Victory Fellowship Church.
Right,
And
right.
it's interesting, before we got married, we had both established that he wanted to be a pastor. He knew that he was called to be a pastor. And I said, and I'm called to get in politics. So we knew that going into the marriage that we were going to
okay.
have those paths that we were going to walk on.
So how long have you been married?
31 years.
Oh, congratulations,
31 years.
congratulations.
Yeah, doesn't seem
So-
like it's been that long.
So you decided, I remember when you got on city council. Yes, I remember that. And you said I don't know what you said, but I'm saying you probably said in your mind, I can do more than this.
Yes. And let me tell you, the first time I ran for city council, I ran in 91, 93, and 95, and I was unsuccessful.
Yeah,
3
I
times.
was in Southfield at the time, you know.
Yeah. But when you have a dream, and not only a dream, but you know that you can make a difference,
Right.
you have to be persistent.
Well, see, the thing about a lot of people is once they don't make it one time, then they want to
Give up.
give up.
That's right.
You know, but you learn so much when you don't make it.
That's right.
I'm going to use this word, probably I shouldn't, but the word is failure. Failure teaches you to do other things. You don't, maybe I could have done this better, and so
That's
forth
right.
and so
That's
on.
right. I believe that when you get a no, you got to look for another opportunity to get a yes.
Yes.
And I got to tell you about a story about my little dog named Jake. So he went on to doggy heaven, but he taught me something that I will never forget.
What?
He was one day he wanted to bark and at the guy that was working in the yard, and he said, "Ruh, ruh, 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 ruh. I want to go outside and bark." I said, "No, Jake, you can't go outside and bark." So he did this a number of times. And then he ran over to his food. He ate a few bites of food, and then he came back and he looked at me. And I said, "You know what? You win." So I had to open the door and let him go outside because in our home, anytime he ate just a bite of food, he got a chance to go outside. So if somebody tells you no, 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 you have to look for your yes. You got to go
Yes.
another way to get
Yes.
to where you want to go.
Yes, you must persevere.
That's right.
And you did, and you became successful, and you got on the city council. And what were the main reasons you wanted to be on the city council?
Well, having come from Detroit, and when we bought our home in Southfield, it was
Because you've been in Southfield for quite a while.
That's right. We've lived there for 28 years.
Uh-huh.
And just being there, and when I got on city council, there was just a little decline in things that were happening. And I said, no.
Things that were happening like what? Because, okay, I started teaching there in 1988, and I watched things kind of change.
Yeah,
Also, and my
yeah.
brother, he started living there in 74 or 75. So I've watched Southfield.
Yeah,
We've
and I
been-
remember when they picked up our garbage, they would leave the cans upright. They would pick up the trash around it, and it was like, I've never been used to this. And over the years, you may find that can anywhere. with
Down
trash
the
around
street.
it, down the street. So it's like, no, give us the best treatment that
Right.
you used to. And so those sort of things propelled me to get involved. And
Well,
so,
because a lot of times, let's just call it what it is. A lot of times when more blacks move into the community powers that be sometimes become a little careless.
That's right. And that cannot happen. And I have made sure and worked to make sure that it doesn't happen on my watch. Let's keep Southfield a great city. Let's make sure that the people that live here, the folks that rent apartments, this is our community. This is our home, and we can take care of it.
Well, it's that vested interest piece. And you want people to have a vested interest. And that's what they say about a lot of people who may rent.
Right. But I still believe that there has to be a pride And even if you're a renter,
Absolutely,
take care of your property.
absolutely. Because
Yeah,
my mother rented all my life, and
right,
she always took care of the property.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So
So that was good. So you got on the city council. You wanted to make sure the city services were the same, still
that's
excellent.
right. Still excellent. And we've worked hard to do that. And one of the other pieces that's real important because of our taxes. Everybody says we have high taxes. It's a it's a balance because if you have great businesses there, it will offset the taxes that we pay. So in the age that we're in, not only do we want to attract the great businesses, we want to help the small business and entrepreneur. The person that wants to start a business and get into that business track, we need as a city offer them resources and not just cater to the big business. And so that's been a real important piece of mind during this election.
So how do you go about that?
So what we do, we've already put some programs in place for the entrepreneur and the small business, and we're going to be creating in Southfield Incubator Center. And that center will give folks an opportunity to go in, and if they haven't written their business plan, if they need to make connections with the other businesses that are there, if we need to set up some mentoring with the large corporations that are in the city of Southfield, let's do it so that the small business and the entrepreneur can grow as well.
Well, that's excellent because so many people are starting their own businesses now. In fact, next Friday, there's a symposium that's going on at the Center for Creative Studies. David Tarver is giving it, but it's called Urban Entrepreneurship, and
Okay.
they'll have so many people, including the presidents of some of the universities there,
Okay.
to talk and encourage younger people or older people, really, because there are a lot of people who go into second careers.
That's right.
Because
That's
you
right.
went into one with your bib.
That's right. That's right. And I have another product that we're working
Tell me,
on.
please
Okay.
tell me about it. I gotta know. Tell me
So
about
the
it.
other product that I have, it's already manufactured, it's already developed, and I'm working with two folks now to get it on the QVC show and to get it over in
Stop.
Africa. And
Really?
it
What
is a
is it?
mosquito. It's a mosquito repellent. It's a cream that
Oh.
I formulated and put it all together, and it will repel mosquitoes. Because in Southfield, we have the ravines and we have
Please,
water and
yes,
we
I
have
know.
lots of mosquitoes. So that's the other
Yeah.
product that I have.
Well, that's a great product.
Yeah.
Especially, it's a cream
It's a
as
cream.
opposed to that spray.
That's right. That's right. It's a cream.
Well,
So,
good luck to you on
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
So, one of your target areas is strong neighborhoods. So, could you tell us about what you want to do about that?
So with strong neighborhoods, again, every person that owns a home and everybody person that's in the city, you be committed to keeping your property up. You be committed to keeping your property up. You be committed to your neighborhood. What we did this past summer, and it was a program that I instituted, was the neighborhood community walks, which meant that we as a city wanted to get out into the neighborhoods to see what was going on because we had been getting a lot of complaints that some code enforcement issues hadn't been followed. And I said, you know what? Good governance is not just in City Hall, but it's also on the street. So we started neighborhood walks, and we walked in 12 communities this year. And we walked around to see what homes needed to be tightened up and which ones were beautiful. And again, getting a buy-in from all of the residents that this is our community that we need to keep strong.
Because sometimes you have seniors in homes, they can't keep them up like they used to anymore.
Right.
And, back in the day, probably when you were coming up, I was coming up, you kind of knew your neighbors
Right.
a little better.
That's right. That's right.
And people would say, well, Miss Smith, she can't do it anymore. Since I'm out here cutting my grass already, I'll cut Miss Smith's grass also.
And we need to get back to that. Southfield is a city that's small enough to create community, and it's small enough that we can still be connected to our neighbor next door.
That's why I chose to teach there.
I'm telling you, it's a great community.
Small communities, Highland Park, and then Southfield, because I knew that I would get to know the citizens and the children and the families.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's so important when you can mix the school in with the community
That's
and
right.
so forth.
That's right.
And we were able to do that. So I can understand where you're coming from on that and to get more community involvement.
That's right. More community involvement, and I know you were an educator
I
and are
was the drama.
the dr-
I no, I gave the plays
that's
and
right,
musicals.
in the schools.
Yes.
And one thing that I've noticed from a city's perspective is that we've reduced the hours of operation for our library, and so that affects our children. It affects our
Yes.
young folks. I got a letter earlier this year from a second grade student at Bernie, and she said, "Miss Jordan, I don't have a computer in my home, and the library is closed half of the time." And that really tugged at my heart because here we have an award winning library that's closed, 40% of the time. And so we've got to make
And
adjustments
you
as a
know, we
city.
all remember when they were building that
That's right,
library.
$38 million.
Yes.
So what do we have to do to get the funds in place to make sure that library is full functioning for everybody to take advantage of it?
Absolutely. I mean, closes. Everybody can't afford a computer.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody can't do it. And so we're talking next about business development. You want to invite, it seems like there has been a resurgence.
It really has, and Detroit's resurgence has had an effect on Southfield because many businesses want to come back to this region, and many of them, unfortunately, they don't want to be in Detroit, so they'll pick Southfield because of our location. The intersection of
Right,
the freeways,
right.
696 and the Lodge. So we are positioned where businesses can thrive and grow, and so over this last year, we've had a number of companies relocate to Southfield.
Yes, I heard. I
Yeah, and that's
heard.
real exciting.
And that has got to be exciting
It
for you
is.
because everybody, there's certain sections of Detroit that people want to move into. And they've become cost prohibitive too.
Right, that's right.
They
That's
have. So I'm happy for Southfield. I'm really, really happy for that increases the tax base,
right.
right?
Absolutely, and the big project that we're going to be working on is Northland.
Yes, I was going to ask you about
Oh,
that.
yes. And so Northland sits on over 115 acres. And with the mall closing down, we knew early that we wanted to get in and maintain control because we didn't want a vacant mall. And so the city, we had some economic development money. And so the city went in and we placed a bid for Northland. And we had to wait to get through all of just a ton of lawyers and courts and all that other stuff, and so it settled this past week, and we'll actually be signing or voting on Monday that we will purchase Northland, and then we will flatten Northland, and then we'll go out and get developers to bring in a mixed-use retail development. And so we've already heard of a number of large companies that want to come, but Providence Hospital wants a piece because Providence is a teaching hospital, and so they need a hotel and lodging for the interns that are teaching there, as well as people that may come in
The
for overnight.
interns wouldn't be teaching.
The med students, the med students
Who will be learning.
who will be learning. Yes,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, the med students. And we know that we want retail, we want mixed use, we want just a
Yeah,
fantastic.
I just feel so funny about that. I think that's a good thing, if as long as it works, as long as it doesn't go down like,
Well,
you know.
what's going to be really important in this instance is the city is not going to develop it, but we're going to select the best of the best developers
Absolutely.
who have the resources to contact the various businesses and that want to come here.
Yeah, because Northland had just kind of disintegrated into just kiosk and wig shops and things.
Right.
And of course everybody who's old enough remembers the glory days. I even remember Northland without a roof.
Without me too.
Right,
Ooh, we
right.
dating.
Oh well, what the heck.
That's right.
But I remember
Didn't have
without
a roof. It should-
but
that's
I
right.
I wish it the best because over in Oak Park, they're having the FedEx Center is coming, and if that area could be rejuvenated again with that Northland side and over there where the armory was, that would be just terrific.
And that's why we knew when we purchased Northland that it's a great piece of land because of what's happening on that Oak Park side, because the businesses don't move to a community that's going down. They move where they're thriving. So we know that
Good
we're good
businesses,
businesses.
right.
That's right.
So you want to make Southfield a destination.
Yes.
So you think about what kind of places are destination places. What would you like to see?
Great retail, great dining, and not just
Yeah,
to
because
drive
people left
throughs.
Southfield, start going out to Big Beaver Road and
That's
all
right.
all of that.
And so the economics have shown that we have the resources, the buying power to, and pay for great
So you said
restaurants and
retail and what else?
dining. We want
Dining.
some family entertainment as well. We don't want our families to have to go out to Troy to enjoy
Right,
family time.
right.
We want to be a true city, a true urban city, suburban city that has all of the resources that a family can enjoy, all of the entertainment that a family can enjoy.
Now, Southfield is an older suburb, so you have a lot of seniors who may be there,
Yes.
senior citizens. So what are you going to do for them?
So we have found out that we've moved the senior center from McDonald Tower, and it's over at City Hall now in the municipal complex. And so what that has done is given them an opportunity to get out of the senior building and drive over to our municipal complex. And so they enjoy just getting out, driving, and we've been providing additional programming for them.
Oh,
But
that's
one
good.
thing that I really like to do is to have a generation to generation connect program, which means the older seniors in our community that's full of wisdom can be connected with young folks that may not have had a grandmother or grandfather that they can connect to and share and have some roundtables and some interactions. And I want to put that program
There are
in
a lot of
place.
ways to do that too. I mean, anyway,
Yeah,
there
you want to
are a
help?
lot of ways. I know so many ways. I've seen it happen. And the millennium generation,
Yes.
let's talk about them. What ages are they? Tell
So,
our
so
audience.
the millennium generation are those that are 25 and up. And my daughter's a millennium generation. Actually, my daughter, my son, and my son-in-law. And so I've talked to them often. What do you guys want to see in Southfield? Because my daughter and her husband, they bought their first home in Southfield. And I said, what are you guys looking for? And they tell me, Ma, we need some restaurants. We need some entertainment. We don't want to have to go to the surrounding
I
communities.
remember the Golden Mushroom up on 10 Mile in Southfield. And that was just such a beautiful, nice restaurant if you're going to go out. And I mean, I mean, I don't live in Southfield, but we need more of those kind of classy restaurants too.
That's right.
Along, and the Applebee's that you got, they do good business.
In the Applebee's is a prime example that people want a sit down type of dining. But what other piece of property that the city purchased was the lot, 8 acres directly across the street from the city of Southfield. So right now we are picking a developer that's going to build that up for us. And
Good.
so last week we did some interviews with 3 firms, and one of them has worked in the city of Detroit and has done a lot of things along the river, the Detroit River. And so we are going to be developing 8 acres of land that's going to give us, again, retail, dining, a family spot, a water park, a mini coliseum, a seating, outdoor seating.
Well, that's
So
wonderful.
we are really,
That is
Southfield
wonderful.
is a great place to be with what's happening in the
Well,
future.
my last thing that I want to ask you about is something I'm always concerned about in the city and so forth, and that is policing or crime. What are we going to do about that?
So our crime statistics has gone down in the
Eric
city.
Hawkins is,
We've got
I
a great police chief,
I
and
want
I
him
mean,
on my show.
yes, and he is making sure that our city stays safe and secure. He's making sure that we're giving the resources to our police officers. And what's so different about his policing is that he has required that our police officers go through a cultural training, because Southfield, we're almost 80% African American, and our police department does not reflect those numbers. So we have only about 16% African American police officers in our police force of 115. So he has required the police officers go through training
That's good.
so that you're sensitive to the community in which you're serving. And
It's
so
80%.
it's almost 80% African American.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, those numbers have grown.
Some people hear those numbers say, I'm getting
I
out of
mean-
here.
No,
I'm joking.
but no, we are working to keep
I
Southfield
know.
a
No,
great
no,
city.
it can be. No, I believe it. I
Yeah,
live in a city that's about 80%, and the same thing. So
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You can good communities, and then you can. A lot of times people want to come back to those communities, and I don't care how far you move out, it's still far out.
That's right.
I'd like to be close to the city, I'd like to, and I think most people want to have resources kind of close in
by.
hand.
That's right.
Mhm.
And one thing about South, we're 20 minutes from everything. 20
Yes.
minutes from downtown, 20 minutes from the airport.
Wasn't that
20
one of your slogans, the center
the
of it
center
all?
of it all, and we really are. We've noticed when we talk to businesses when they relocate. In fact, Covison just left Detroit and they relocated
they?
to Southfield. And we asked them, "Why'd you come?" They said, "Location,
Location, location, location.
location."
Well, I really wish you the best of
Thank
luck.
you.
Oh, by the way, I was going to ask you because I remember when Brenda was president. Oh, goodness.
Mayor.
Brenda was mayor, Brenda Lawrence. I remember she did a lot of things, nationally. She kind of got involved with the president, Obama and so forth. And she really started pushing some of the things the Supreme Court that he wanted them to foster. What do you think about the Obamacare, or what they call it, the Affordable Care Act?
Affordable Care Act. Well, it's something. It's an act that the president passed. It gives all people an opportunity to have a little bit better access to care, health care that they may not have had access to.
Okay, I know the only
Previously.
reason I'm asking is because of just a few weeks ago they had this conference of mayors, and you have to go and you got to talk on a national level.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So really, it becomes you garner the support of your community and the wishes of your community, and then you do take it on a national level.
That's why I asked you. It's not just about being the mayor of
That's
Southfield.
right. That's right.
It's about the National Mayors
Right.
Mayors Conference, because 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when they had that, they asked the lady she's stepping down as the mayor of Baltimore, but they had her on national news asking
right,
her
that's right.
things like that.
That's
That's why I'm,
Absolutely. And the position of mayor is one of brand ambassador, which means you represent the city not only locally but nationally.
Nationally, you
so
do.
that is included.
So
what
that's
we
why
do.
I asked you about Supreme Court decisions and so forth, because you may be asked
Absolutely.
about that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, and
Thank you, Brenda.
have
Thank
a
you so much.
good luck to you.
Thank you. We need folks to get to the polls and vote on November 3rd.
November 3rd. Gosh, that's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's 18 days away.
Oh, but who's counting, as
counting?
you said. Well, good luck to
Thank
you.
you.
Good luck to you, and I got to get over to your church one day.
Please,
Check it
please.
out. Check
All
it
right,
out.
all right.
Because one of my students, Terrace Hamilton, used to.
Yes.
He was one of my drama students.
Oh my goodness!
And,
I saw him just a couple weeks ago.
tell him I said hi.
I will.
He used to help be a janitor
That's
there
right,
and everything.
That's right. Oh, small.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in just a moment with the Highland Parkers. They're in the house.